Now, as we have seen over the last couple of weeks, the left's position on stricter gun control is becoming more and more indefensible. And now we have yet another example for you. Now, yesterday, Democratic Congressman Jim Moran held a so-called community forum, what he called a, quote, conversation on gun violence. But when Breitbart.com contributor Celia Bigelow asked the liberal lawmaker about why he refuses to be pro-choice when it comes to how a woman can defend herself, well, that put an end to the so-called conversation. Take a look.
Why aren't you pro-choice when it comes to self-defense for women? Like to tell women how they should defend themselves. For example, why don't you guys listen to the young rape victims in Colorado when they said that if they had a gun that they could have prevented their attacker? Not women into being victims. That's all I know. Would have been taken from them and killed them. Why can't you answer? Why can't you answer?
All right, joining me now with reaction, townhall.com news editor Katie Pavlich and Democratic strategist Mo Elathi is back with us. Mo? What do you think of that? Some conversation. Let me move on to the next man. What was it? I'm moving on to the next question.
Well, I mean, I know Jim Moran. I think he's he used to be my congressman for many years. I like him. I don't know why he didn't answer it. What I would have said was, no one's trying to take your right to own a firearm away. What we are talking about, what Congress is talking about, the debate that's on the table, are over certain narrowly defined things like high-capacity magazines, assault weapons, and background checks.
Right. But, you know, one of the problems is none of these politicians know very much about guns. Mm-hmm. For example, Katie, an AR-15, of which I own 3, you can shoot anybody can shoot that weapon. Yep. And you can be learned very accurate. It's a good defensive weapon if somebody, God forbid, ever broke into your house. When Joe Biden says a shotgun, some shotguns will take a 100-pound woman and she will go flying after she shoots it. Yeah. So which gun would you recommend?
AR-15.
AR-15.
Especially when you're defending your property. Now, if you go and take your shotgun on your porch and blow 2 blasts, like Joe Biden would say, it could land you in jail. But going back to the point that you made about saying that people aren't taking away your right to own a firearm, but it goes beyond just simply owning firearms. It goes to carrying firearms. And what Celia was referring to was Amanda Collins, who was a rape victim on a college campus, and she was held at gunpoint in a gun-free zone by a man who then...
And she did have a gun that she left in the car.
She had a concealed carry permit at the time. She left her gun at home because of... And she says they legislated me into being a victim because she was obeying university policy by not bringing that firearm with her on campus. Now, I'm not surprised that Mr. Representative Moran wouldn't comment on this, considering his son, Patrick Moran, worked on Jim Moran's congressional campaign recently, just pled guilty to assaulting his girlfriend and jamming her head into a trash can in Washington, D.C. So you want to talk about violence against women? No wonder Jim Moran didn't want to answer this question.
It's a good point.
No, it's not.
Apologies. Why is that not a good point?
I think it's a cheap point. It's irrelevant to this conversation. Patrick Moran has,
Violence against women is irrelevant to the conversation?
No. What his son did is not relevant at all to a conversation about gun safety. Okay, so let's stay on point.
Wait, we're talking about violence against women and women's ability to defend themselves.
And that's fair, right? But my point is, I think you're conflating different things. I'm all for women being able to defend themselves. I am all for... Now, we should have an honest conversation. I don't disagree with you. I think he should have answered the question. We should have an honest conversation about concealed carry and those things. I don't necessarily agree. I don't necessarily agree that having more guns on campuses is going to make things safer, but we should have that conversation. That's legitimate. That's legitimate.
For all the women in your life that you love, that you care about, they're home alone, how would you recommend they defend themselves?
Look, I am not an anti-gun Democrat. I don't own one, right? I don't own one.
So how would you recommend? I would tell them to get trained in the use of a firearm. What would you tell them?
That's a good question, and I don't know, Sean. I don't know what I would say.
Well, I do know. And the concealed carry around the country and on college campuses has brought down the violent crime rate, especially against women when it comes to rape, murder, assault. All
right, let me go to the rhetoric of the left because it's really getting out of control. According to Dianne Feinstein, it's legal, I didn't know this, to go hunting for humans. This is what she said.
The time has come, America, to step up and ban these weapons. The other very important part of this bill is to ban large-capacity ammunition feeding devices, those that hold over 10 rounds. We have federal regulations and state laws that prohibit hunting ducks with more than 3 rounds, and yet it's legal to hunt humans with 15-round, 30-round, even 150-round magazines.
All right, 2 points here. I didn't know it was legal to hunt humans. Maybe in some parts of the country that I don't know about, but that's number one. But she did say there, ban weapons, which is what I think the goal is. And what if there's a home invasion? 3 or 4 people come in your house, 7 bullets in New York, 10 bullets nationally? May not be enough.
Look, the fact is, when you're in a gunfight with bad people, you never say, I wish I had less rounds. And a 30-round magazine is actually standard. Magpul is going through a huge battle right now in Colorado with them banning 30-round magazines there, which is actually standard in their company.
Why is the government of the United States buying up billions of bullets? Do you have any idea? What would be the point of that?
I'm not even sure I know what you're talking about. But here's my point, right? And I'm glad we're having this conversation, because when these individuals are going into schools with these magazines, these huge magazines, right? They should not have that access to that. They should not have access to that.
You can make those magazines.
Well,
criminals will make them.
Well, Sean, the fact is, though, that Homeland Security came out with a report in 2012 showing, we've heard a lot of the rhetoric surrounding assault weapons and modern sporting rifles and AR-15s, but Homeland Security came out with a report showing and saying explicitly the weapon of choice for mass shooters are handguns.
Yeah,
and so we've already seen
that'll be the
next round.
incrementalism.